Alrighty, folks, we need to have a conversation about the media lying to you. The media is keeping you broke with negative headlines. Realize that they have a message or an intention. We're going to talk about a survey from Fannie Mae, which I think is the most disgustingly wrong and inaccurate survey. Then we're going to talk about a chart trying to compare gold, stock market, and real estate that is also lying to you. And we're going to have this conversation with Jason Hartman. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, good to be back, Mike. And the media lying to you. Come on.
Shocking, I know.
Imagine that.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about how the media is lying to you and keeping you broke. This is the mainstream media. I'm not even talking doomers, who we all know are evil human beings that pay their rent creating fear. This is legitimately mainstream media. And I'm going to go first, Jason. The most disgusting thing I read this weekend was a survey out of Fannie Mae. Okay. And Fannie Mae's survey said that 73% of Americans believe it is a bad time to buy a home. Now, of course, as an investor, I love that message. Yeah. Keep scaring people.
Right. Keep scaring them away and leave the
keep them away. Less competition. Yeah, less competition. But this is how I look at that. And in fact, this is what I believe. I believe today, right now, is the best time to buy a home in the last 12 years. It is the only buyer's market we've had in the last 12 years. Now, again, I'm not saying pay list price. I'm not saying you're going to buy your forever home because there's only one of those. I'm saying if you do the work, find motivated sellers, it is the best time to buy home. Where in reality, Jason, I'd love to get your opinion. I think today is the worst time to sell a home, not buy a home. I would not want to be a seller today. I love being a buyer today. What say you?
Yeah, interesting. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say the best time in 12 years, but I mean, there's always this sort of super opportune time where you're just about to hit the stride. And that was early COVID, right?
Sure.
So, if you would have purchased in January of 2020,
Woo!
you would have made a fortune, right?
Yeah.
And the same is true if you would have purchased coming out of the Great Recession. So,
Sure.
There's always a debate on that. But I look at, look, you and I are not really appreciation speculators like so many others are. Most people are. We buy solid investments that make sense from day one. If the property appreciates, great. That's the icing on the cake. If it doesn't, if nothing major happens, fine. I got my income and expense ratio, and I'm going to make a nice return on investment. But looking back, hindsight is always 2020. And in 2020, interestingly, it goes along with that cliche. You would have been very well advised to buy when fear was everywhere. Fear was everywhere. And I just want to remind some people about that. Ken McElroy made a bunch of wrong doomer predictions during that time.
40% crash. I've called him out.
Yeah, he was just completely wrong. And
missed that one. Yep.
Yeah. And he made this one video right when sort of COVID hit. He said, write it off. Nothing's going to happen till the end of the year. It's terrible. And he admitted to me later, and this is a key point, because the lesson Ken learned is a lesson everybody needs to learn. He admitted to me later that he didn't realize what the Fed's response would be. He was just looking at the crisis in a vacuum, as if there are no central planners running the economy, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, they're going to react. And the reaction they did was massive quantitative easing.
It was predictable. It was freaking predictable.
I agree. That was a predictable response. No question about it. But, a lot of people think they don't look at like how the powers that be will respond to this, right?
Exactly.
And that's just super important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important because, again, there's a mantra right now by the doomers that, Fannie Mae's foreclosures are going to ramp and it's going to be the next GFC and all of that. And I'm like, guys, first off, you're wrong, but let's just pretend you're right for a minute.
Yeah.
What's going to be the reaction?
Right.
We're going right back to zero rates.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not tying those two together, right, you're being dishonest and just totally doom.
No question. So again, Mike, there's a really interesting point about that. So, the doomers will say that they can't lower rates because they could never sell the treasuries to foreign investors if they don't pay a high enough rate to offset the inflation that those investors know is coming, right? Well, not really. That seems true if you're kind of just doing the math,
Right.
okay? And Peter Schiff has been doing that wrongly for decades, and he's just been wrong over and over again.
Yep.
And it's not just about that. But guess what? We had I don't know if it was a genius move by Trump or his advisors, or if they didn't really even realize what a genius move, like this is Einstein level genius, was the Genius Act about the stable coins and the cryptocurrency.
I knew where you were going.
Yeah,
it's a
you knew
stroke
it.
of genius. Yes.
The second that was, really talked about in the news, I kind of looked at it and said, all this is going to do is create massive demand for US dollars.
Bingo. It's a
around the
buyer
world.
with an insatiable appetite.
Oh my God. I mean, but people do not understand how powerful the dollar is. I've been to 99 countries, and some of them many times over. I've spent a lot of my life in foreign countries, especially in the last year. I basically traveled full time for a year, went around the world twice. And let me tell you, everybody wants our fucking dollars. Okay.
Yes.
Like the dollar is God, no matter what anybody says. Oh, Peter Schiff, the dollar's going to crash. George will say that. So what? If it does, then you're going to have massive inflation-induced debt destruction, which is going to be wonderful.
Inflation is a feature, not a bug, people.
Yeah,
invest
exactly.
like it. Come on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so you're right about that. But this stable coin Genius Act is freaking brilliant.
Oh, it solves the biggest problem we have,
which is $37 trillion problem, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. That is has to be the most genius chess move.
Great timing.
In probably all of monetary history, like for thousands of years. It's insane.
Yeah. No, it's a brilliant idea. It's going to keep rates lower, or for forever.
It's going to allow the Fed and the government and the Treasury
print
room to move, right?
Exactly.
It just bought them another 100 years.
At
probably,
least,
At
least, I agree with you 1,000%. The stable coin thing, the stable coins backing with U.S. Treasuries, even if they go to zero, they will be held by law to buy these, right? They're insatiable appetite. So again, great thing. So that was my example of the media lying to us. Fannie Mae telling 73% it's a bad time to buy, when actually it's a bad time to sell. Right. It's a great time to buy, be aggressive, do the work, find cash flow, write disrespectful offers, follow up, just keep doing the work. It's a numbers game. There are great deals to be had right now. You have another example of the media lying to us, and you actually do what you do, and you put it in a chart. So let me bring it up.
Yeah, bring that up on the screen. So this is how the media has been lying to us for a 10-year period. This is 2015 to 2025. And this chart that we're looking at shows that the S&P 500 over that 10-year period returned 195%. That is phenomenal.
That's great.
The people playing the stock market have done really well. And the gold investors, gold, which is a pretty boring asset most of the time, gold and silver are not very exciting. It's amazing the persistence of these people, the gold bugs, that have just been
for decades.
You got to give them credit for their patience, man.
I do.
They have been very patient, beating the drum on gold, and now they finally got a nice run, right?
Yeah.
And so gold has been great lately, and it's up in the last 10 years 117%.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Okay? Dude, it's crushing real estate based on this chart, man. It's just crushing us.
Yeah, right. Like if you believe that, you're an idiot. But you know what's coming next.
I do.
So I know you do. So real estate, the median home price in 10 years is up 93%. And that is also phenomenal. That's a great run. Yeah. But wait, there's more. Okay. Because this return is totally misleading. As we go to the next slide, we will see how it really works out. Okay. So the vast majority of people buy real estate with leverage. Yep. And I'm not talking extreme leverage. I'm just talking 80% loan, 20% down, like an investor has to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And that leverage is a multiplier effect. Archimedes, the great mathematician and philosopher, back forever ago, like 2,000 years or something. Don't quote me on the date, but he said his quote was, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I can move the entire world." And he could, because that's the power of leverage. So when you put just a little leverage, this is not extreme. It's not putting 5% down or nothing down or 3% like an FHA loan or 0 down like a VA loan. This is just conservative, 20% down, 80% leverage. Your return skyrockets to 465% in the last 10 years on the median price home. It blows past the S&P 500. It blows past gold. It is the most historically proven asset class in the entire world. Buy some income property.
No, this is exactly right. Because again, it's funny. You and I, one of our first conversation years ago, I shared with you my 55-year spreadsheet, and you correctly pointed out that, Michael, you need to add a line for leverage.
Yeah.
Because again, it wasn't there, right?
And it was still your spreadsheet, which is an amazing, by the way, folks, Michael has done an amazing amount of research. This spreadsheet he's got is so complex and so detailed and so well studied. My hat's off to you, Michael. Like, you did a great job on that.
I appreciate that. But yeah, the leverage.
It was pretty good without leverage, right? It was pretty good.
I was happy with it. And then you add on leverage. Because again, this is what you have to do, folks. He's done a 20% leverage here. So what does that mean? You take the return of 93 and times it by 5. Yeah. If you wanted to do a quarter, like 25% down, you times it by 4. Mm-hmm. And this is again assume, and oh, by the way, that doesn't assume tax savings, doesn't assume cash flow, doesn't assume, mortgage all these extra things that we know. Yeah, mortgage pay down,
inflation-induced debt destruction.
It's again, the folks, media is lying to us. Again, media is backed by, banks and financial institutions. Who do you think buys their advertising?
Yeah.
This is why they're trying to make the S&P look better. It is clearly not. In fact, it's in second place by over 200%.
It's
buy some income property. Yeah, it's way behind. And again, this only gets better. So at the end of the day, folks, if you tie together my first point, it's a terrible time to sell, not a terrible time to buy, with the fact that over a decade, levered real estate outperforms the S&P and gold and others. This is just a time to do the work, right? The market's slow, not a lot of competition because the competition is scared because the media is scaring them. Yeah. So, do the work, write offers, follow up, and go get your great deals, because I don't think it's been the last 12 years. It hasn't been easier to find a great deal than right now.
Well, on that, I would agree with you for sure. And Michael, what's interesting is, like, this is a really kind of a silly time to be a doomer, because look, we are probably at the point where it's as bad as it's going to get. I mean,
Agreed.
No one could argue that the real estate market has been boring the last 3 years, right?
Right.
It's just been muted, right? Like, we've had 2.2% appreciation in the last year, nationally speaking. Yeah. Nothing to write home about, certainly, right? But rates are on the downswing.
Correct.
Housing prices are not going up in any significant way, 2.2%.
Correct.
And that over the last 3 years, we've had a deficit of about 2 million buyers per year. Correct. That's 6 million buyers who have probably wanted to buy, but they couldn't afford it, or they were just waiting because they were scared. And rates are coming down. And man, we've only got just over 800,000 homes for sale in the country, 6 million people in terms of a deficit that are going to move into the market, and millions more that can qualify when rates go down. I mean,
not to mention we have an executive branch who is focused on housing and the lack of affordability. So we keep hearing about housing emergency being declared. Who knows what that means? Maybe it's supply, maybe it's demand, but it will be something.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with you. I think it's funny you bring this up. I actually called August of 2025 the bottom. So we're going to find out very quickly if I'm right about September.
Yeah.
We'll find out in about 2 weeks. Actually, we'll get the numbers for September. And again, I'm saying September will be better than 24 and 23, like for like. So it's going to get very interesting. I do think August will go down as the bottom. It's funny. Realtor.com has just said something very similar, that they think August might have been the bottom.
Well, they're probably watching your show, Michael.
Yeah, they're cheating. Yeah, but again, folks, the media is lying to you. Use it to your advantage. As an investor, we want less competition, more inventory, and better percentage of finding motivated sellers. This is the best time for all three of those. Go do the work. Jason, what say you?
I say, Michael, you are, as usual, you are right on. And you know what? Doing what you do, and I'll pat myself on the back, doing what I do too, it takes a lot of courage to go up against these doomers that are literally just lying to you to get you to click on their videos. It's clickbait. It's a scam. The fundamentals support income property. Okay. It's the most historically proven asset class in the entire world. Get some under your belt. There's all kinds of great opportunities. We just launched co-living after waiting 5 years and analyzing it for 5 years. And those deals are amazing. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's always money to be made. And, I love talking to you because you get it, and I'm looking forward to speaking at your conference coming up too.
Day one keynote speaker, Jason Hartman's going to come up and drop some serious gems in Vegas on Feb 14th, folks. Go get your tickets. You get Jason Hartman keynote Saturday. You get Pace Morby keynote Sunday, and you get 12 other millionaires coming up, bringing value. No selling from the stage, just pure motivation and Q&A. I let the audience ask questions as well. Jason, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
All right. Likewise, buddy. Happy investing.